Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez. Today is episode, 6 already? 5? I don't know where I'm at because I am doing 61 shows in 61 days. It is a lot of work, but hopefully it won't be too bad this next coming couple of months. But I do have help this time around. I have the wonderful Meghan with me today. Meghan, how you doing?
I'm not so bad, Lyle. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for coming on the show with me, for helping me out with the Dark Record. It's a lot of work, and I really appreciate everything you're helping me with.
No problem at all. I'm super psyched to talk about this today, actually. It is so incredibly creepy.
I know. Well, today we are talking about the Bell Witch. So, Meghan, do you know what the Bell Witch is?
I have an idea. It was something that was not on my radar growing up. I grew up in New England, but certainly I came across it from a documentary that was originally produced for A&E called Cursed, the Bell Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically follows a descendant of John Bell through some of the story and through his attempts to allegedly break her curse. But that's all that I really had up till now. So what exactly is the Bell Witch?
Well, for people that don't know, like I honestly, I didn't know about the Bell Witch either until later in life is when I actually realized that. I thought the Bell Witch and the Blair Witch were basically the same thing, but came to realize they're really not the same thing. They are different in their own way. But the Bell Witch is probably one of the best known legends of early America. It comes from a small town here in Tennessee where I live, in a place called Adams, Tennessee. Adams, Tennessee is probably about 3-ish hours or so away from me. Not too far away. I mean, I can definitely make the trip up, but I mean, it's 3 hours away. I'm really busy. And this happened in the early 1800s. The Bell family claimed that their farm was haunted by a spirit that talked, argued, sang hymns, and even attacked them physically. What makes it stand out in like from other folklore is that it wasn't just noises or shadows. It was haunting with a personality. That is kind of creepy in itself, that it was this spirit entity, whatever you want to call it, had more of a personality than just somebody who shows up from the corner and scares you a little bit and then disappears.
Yeah, oh my goodness. And when did all this begin? I know you said it was the early 1800s, but sort of what set it off?
It started probably, I think it was in 1817 at John Bell's farm. And at first everything was so small, everything was just minor things. There was a lot of scratching sounds, knocking, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. All of the regular haunting stuff. But before long, the disturbances, they escalated into much more violent activity. Blankets were pulled off at night, invisible blows leaving marks on the children, and even animals reacted as if something was in the house, but you just couldn't see it, but you can sense it, that it was there. The Bell family, at first, they tried to keep it private. And, you got to remember that this was frontier Tennessee. Not many people were like into the whole haunted scene. Things like that kind of were a little bit of a stigma. But the activity grew. It grew louder and harder. They couldn't dismiss it anymore. And they started to invite some of their neighbors to come and witness everything themselves, and things just took off from there.
Oh my goodness, that just sounds absolutely terrifying. Especially the animals part. I feel like they're really neutral observers, so if animals are having a reaction, something's definitely going on.
Yeah. Have you ever been into a supposedly haunted house?
I have. I've been into quite a few, both here and abroad. So, mostly you just go in and you take the tour and you're like, okay, well, now I know things I didn't know before. But just a couple of times.
So this was a guided tour.
Get a sensation. Yeah, generally.
Yeah, I've stayed in a couple of haunted places, well, supposedly haunted places. I've talked about it on the show before.
Mhm.
Again, that type of stuff doesn't really scare me for whatever reason. I don't get scared of ghosts. I tend to run toward it so I can kind of see what it is. My biggest thing is I'm always fascinated by, like, you hear stories that something was there then it wasn't. I
Mhm.
In my mind, I'm like, how did it disappear? Did it like disappear in a mist, or how did it go
Right?
away? Did it go through a wall like that? For whatever reason, the exit is what always
You're
fascinates
all
me.
about the exit.
Yes.
Fair enough. No, I mean, I've been in a couple of hotels too that were not sort of announced as being haunted.
Hmm.
And odd things kind of happened, and we found out later that they had a reputation for that. But then you're just going, well, was that my mind playing tricks on me because it was a really old historic building?
Yeah.
And obviously our modern buildings have so many fewer sounds and things
Hmm.
like that. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Things.
I kind of I'm open to believing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never really been into a place where I was like, yeah, this place is definitely haunted. I had so much experiences going on. That's not me at all. I'm more of the how could I explain all of this away? Um, all of the things that I saw, I have bad vision already. I wear contacts, so was it just my bad vision that made me think that I saw something? Was it just a trick of the mind? That's why I want to go to it. I want to see it. I want to
Hmm.
like experience it. If it's something that's really there, I'm not going to run away and hide from it. I'm going to go straight to it and be like, well, yep, that's something, all right.
Well, I tell you what, if we're ever in a haunted house, horror movie style, you go first.
Yeah, I
I'll
actually,
follow behind you.
I was invited to a haunted house. I talked about it when I did the convention episode. Um, um, I got invited to go and spend the night at a haunted house. It's kind of far away though, probably about, I think it was 4 or 5 hours away or something like that. So it would definitely be a trip to go and stay there. But the owner of the property was like, "Yeah, you got to come. I'm gonna get him on the show eventually." I had plans to get him on a couple weeks back, but I ended up getting a little bit sick, and I'm getting a little bit sick again. I don't know what it is. I think it's allergies or something.
Tis the season.
That's getting me sick. But yeah, be on the lookout for that episode, guys. You're gonna love it.
So here's a question. We were just talking about haunted places and things like that. What about the Bell Witch haunting, if it is a haunting, or
Hmm.
what makes it kind of different from other ghost stories? I know you said that the ghost, had, or whatever it was, the spirit had sort of a personality to it, but is there anything else that makes it a little bit different that you think?
Well, it was because they said that they had like full on conversations with the entity, the ghost, whatever you want to call it. Like this thing actually responded clearly and responded. People nowadays use those like spirit boxes, and they ask
Hmm.
a question, and then all of a sudden you get this response back that could be something, but it's always like one or two words, something really vague. This thing was actually like speaking to them. It was talking to them. It was reported in like a lot of the different reports, but all of that stuff's all speculative because I mean one of the actual like known stories, it came from Martin Van Buren Ingram, um, and it was all first written in 1894, and all of these things took place um, like years and years before that. So I think the name of his book was An Authenticated History of the Bell Witch. He claimed that it was based on a diary from John Bell's son Richard. But all of that stuff's all speculative. There is no really concrete evidence. But at the time, I mean, it's really hard to get concrete evidence that's not written down or handed down because I mean, back then they didn't have podcasts, they didn't have videos, they didn't have all of those things. But that's what made this story so different, is that if you ask it a question, it would respond. If you tell it to do something, it would more than likely just do it. And that is more of a like a intelligent being, an intelligent haunting, an intelligent personality, however you want to say it. Whatever it was that they claimed was there was definitely intelligent, and they actually think it was a lady named Betsy Bell who oh wait, no, excuse me, that was the daughter. She John's daughter was Betsy Bell, and she was 12 when the hauntings began, and she became the primary target, is what I'm trying to say. She was slapped, pinched, her hair was pulled. Sometimes no one could see it. It was she experienced a lot, and that's something crazy that when entities and stuff start targeting little children, that that's always a red flag that it might not be something fun. It might not be something.
For sure.
It's not
Oh my
Barney
goodness,
doing
yeah.
it. That's for sure.
And like also as well, for me, the big thing that stands out is this haunting, whatever it may be, entity, witch, ghost, had like a verifiable body count. Like there aren't many hauntings that you hear of that have an actually historically verifiable death involved.
Yes.
Like caused allegedly by the spirit that people at the time like attributed that to the reason. Not this late in history anyway.
Well, John Bell, they said, was the one that that the Bell Witch actually killed. And according to the story, yes, the witch repeatedly said she intended to kill John Bell. So this thing, whatever it is not very friendly. And in December of 1820, he died suddenly after slipping into a coma. The family found a small vial of black liquid in the house, and when they tested it, they gave a little bit of it to the cat. The cat died instantly. Poor kitty. That is, I think why when they do like shampoos and stuff, it says not tested on animals and stuff. So the entity then reportedly laughed and declared that she had given Bell a fatal dose. At his funeral, people claimed the voice mocked and it sang loudly throughout the service. It was basically mocking that it killed John Bell. Historically, it's impossible to prove that it was poison per se, because again, they didn't have all of the cool, neat stuff we have now. They had their knowledge of medicine was very, very limited back in the 1800s. I think that's around the same time they were still doing bloodletting.
Yeah, definitely. They had all kinds of crazy cures back then.
Yes, blood is poison. Let's get rid of all the blood. But little did they know that blood is actually needed in the body for it to function.
Right?
If it's not in the body, it ain't gonna do it.
No, definitely not.
The coincidence of his long illness and the spirit's threats became the centerpiece of the story. For believers, it was proof. For skeptics, it's possible that John Bell simply suffered from a neurological condition, or he was just, sick and died. It's all coincidence.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
So in terms of, do you think the ghost actually killed John Bell, or do you think it was something neurological, or what's your theory? What's your favorite pet theory on that?
Well, I mean, personally, I don't really believe in a lot of ghost stories and a lot of stuff. I don't believe in a lot of those things. I know it's kind of weird. I do a Halloween podcast. I talk about that stuff all the time, but that's kind of what my fascination is all about. Is I want to go towards it and not away from it. I don't feel like something that I can't see can hurt me. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be scared of going in there. Like, my belief is, yeah, sure, I'll wake up tomorrow, and
Right.
nothing will happen. So, I mean, I guess it's possible that something did it, but is it plausible? Probably not. Maybe it was John Bell committed suicide. Maybe he was already very sick, and I mean, we see that all the time. People that start getting sick. Robin Williams is a good example of that. He was getting very sick, and he ended up committing suicide because he didn't want to
That still
do that.
gets
So
me.
yeah, I know, poor Robin Williams. But
He's a
John Bell could have
legend
been
of
the
my
same thing.
childhood. Yeah, certainly. Good. See, my sort of pet theory on the death of John Bell, um, I read recently in an article, there was a assistant professor of chemistry at Austin Peay State University. Her name was Dr. Meghan Mann, and she theorized that he died possibly from arsenic poisoning or
Hmm.
some other heavy metal poisoning, but she zeroed in on arsenic because the amount needed to kill someone is quite small
Yeah.
compared to, say, lead. Because when he died, allegedly they threw, after killing the cat with it, they threw it into the fireplace, and allegedly it created a blue flame. And
Hmm.
of course, when you throw any kind of, solution, that's how they make fireworks, different colors. They add
Yeah.
different substances to it. But both lead and arsenic would create a blue flame
Hmm.
if thrown onto a fire.
Yeah.
And my theory is pretty much what you were just saying, that he was probably sick for a long time because he complained of lots of different symptoms that were part of his illness. But I'm wondering, were the levels of arsenic in his body slowly building over time? Because, like you're saying, strange medical practices in the 1800s, and one of the strangest ones that they had was that, 18th century, correction. But yeah, 1800s, 19th century. Sorry, my brain's not with us this morning. I have a 2-year-old. I blame it on him.
Oh,
But
I
anyway,
know.
yeah, so they used to use arsenic medicinally regularly in this
Hmm.
period. I mean, it was also known to be a poison. They used it, to get rid of rats and things like that in pretty much every barn in America. But it was used and deliberately consumed in small doses as a medicinal item. There was something
Yeah.
specifically called Fowler's solution, which was potassium arsenite. And it
Ooh.
was used regularly to treat a whole range of different conditions. So was he self-medicating for a long time with this easily available, commonly used form of arsenic? And then maybe somebody decided, he's already taking this, let's just give him a bit more than he's used to and see what happens.
Hmm.
Um, so was it accidental? Was it deliberate on the part of maybe somebody who was caring for him at that point? Because
Yeah.
let's face it, arsenic does not make you better. I don't care what the
Not at
condition
all.
is. Like, it is not going to make it any better. So as his
Right.
condition deteriorated, did somebody decide to maybe bump him off and speed up the process? I don't know. That's my theory. I don't know. There's no proof for any of it, but that's my theory.
No, I mean, the only real, like, concrete stuff that we kind of have, it kind of hit on it a little bit, but it all came from Van Buren, who, that's how we actually know about this story, is from his book, that he claimed was from John Bell's son Richard, and it was written kind of like in a diary. Well, it was a diary form. Um,
Okay.
but his book reads more like a novel than it does as like historical record, because it includes things like conversations with the witch and the family. It's got detailed dialogue in it. It's you know, it raises serious questions because of the way it was written. The fact that it was in full first person and it appeared 75 years after the events,
Right.
and no contemporary newspaper articles or church records backed it up. It suggests that a lot of what we know today is a blend of oral tradition and literary invention.
So
Is
basically, he was a
good way to
genius
say
who wrote a bestseller that we're still talking about today.
it. Pretty much. But he just claimed that it was all from John Bell's son, and there we go. Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned who they thought the Bell Witch was. So who were the likely suspects at the time, or who do we think they were now?
There was a the Bell family and their neighbors. They eventually started calling the spirit Kate, and they believed that it was a woman named Kate Batts. She was a neighbor who had a land dispute with John Bell, and local rumor suggests she might have cursed him. And the spirit even used the name Kate when speaking. That kind of reinforced the belief that, hey, it's this crazy woman called Kate Batts. I kind of laugh at that because I have an older, well, she used to be a neighbor, and we kind of had a little bit of a land dispute, and I don't know, it just made me think of that for some reason.
Did you nickname her Kate Batts?
No.
Or the Bell Witch?
No, but I mean, she had dementia, so she was,
okay.
She is. I didn't care if all of her negativity was put towards me, but whenever my kids were around, she was the sweetest old lady you'd know. She would hire my son to go pick up sticks in her yard. Like, she would do a lot of stuff, but then she'd get that wild hair, and I would be the center of the attack. And I'm like, yeah, Miss so-and-so, I'm not the old person that used to live here. So I know you guys had issues, but they shouldn't be our issues. She's moved on now. We got new neighbors. The land disputes. But historically, there is no record of a Kate Batts that she ever cursed the Bells. There's no record of that, and there's really no record of anything supernatural on that aspect either. It's more than likely that her name was attached after the fact as a way of giving a hauntingly human origin story. In folklore, people often try to tie the unexplained back to someone in the community, and in this case, Kate, she kind of fit the bill.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about who people thought it was at the time, but tell me again, you were saying he had a daughter named Betsy. What was the deal with her? Why do you think she was such a focus?
Betsy, well, she was the one of the focus of a lot of the dangers, I guess, from the ghost. She often woke up like terrified with red handprints across her face, like somebody slapped her. Some accounts say that the spirit tormented her relentlessly, even interfering with her later engagement by warding off the fiance. I don't know, why couldn't I think of the word? That it warded off the fiance not to marry her, and yada yada. So I mean, for whatever reason, this Kate really had it out for Betsy, and I don't think it was ever really brought up as to why they thought that. But yeah, she suffered the most out of the entire Bell family. Well, I don't know. John Bell was killed, but
Right.
All of the physical stuff, Betsy was definitely the one that was taking it all.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
And do you know if these just stopped after his death, or did the witch continue to harass the family?
I think, God, let me see.
Because I couldn't sort of nail that down.
I couldn't either.
I mean, I guess not, right? Because I was saying about that documentary where there's still a curse. Supposedly, there's still a curse associated with the Bell Witch that affects the firstborn son, like in their direct descendant line. So I guess she's still pretty angry about whatever she's angry about.
Yeah, I mean, well, they still do have that the Bell Witch Cave, which you can actually go and visit. You can definitely visit this cave. It's there. It's on the it's near the Bell family where they lived. Today it's the central part of the story, but it wasn't mentioned in the earlier versions of the legend for whatever reason. The idea that the witch lived in the cave or lived in a lair came later as the story got more, I guess, as it evolved, as it got more exaggerated. And by the 20th century, it had become a popular tourist site. Like I said, you can definitely go out and visit this cave. I've never been. I really should. I really should make the trip up and go and take a couple pictures. But I never really make it up that way. I don't go that far north in Tennessee. I usually just go back west. We go to Tulsa a lot. We go to Texas and stuff, but never really go upwards past Nashville. I should really make the trip and do it sometime. Yeah, I mean, there's people say that they feel stuff. They hear voices. They feel a chill in there. There's unexplained things in photos that people take, and some people even claim that they got scratched. Which I mean, it could be anything. I get scratches on me all the time that I don't know where they show up at. It's all about where you are and what your mindset is. Because I get scratches all the time, and I'm like, I don't know where I got that from. But
come on, Lyle, let's be honest. That's part of getting old. When you wake up and you've got bruises and things, and you go, I don't know where that came from.
Yes, it was a ghost.
Happens to me all the time.
That's my first inkling is to say it's a ghost that scratched me versus I got that by hitting myself somewhere. I didn't even realize
it.
Right. But whether you believe in those accounts or not, the cave it gave people a real tangible place connected to the legend, which is cool.
And you said it's still in operation, or an attraction of some kind.
Yeah, you can definitely go visit it. Let me see if I have hours of operation or anything like that, because Google has everything.
This section brought to you by the Tennessee Tourism Board.
Yes, it sure did. The Bell Witch Cave, it's open. It opens at 10 o'clock. Well, actually, it's closed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday, but it is open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for your viewing pleasure, and you can buy tickets online. So far, there's 585 reviews, and there's surprisingly a lot of 1-star reviews. You want to hear some of those?
Yeah, I do.
Let's see. Definitely this person. Definitely not worth the time. The house isn't even the original house. The cave was small and not what we expected. And then, of course, the Bell Witch owners. I said, sorry, we were we were sorry about your experience.
Oh, who knew that size mattered in caves?
Yeah, well, looking at the pictures, I mean, it does look kind of small, but yeah.
I have never walked into a supposedly haunted place and gone, it could be more spacious.
It could be bigger. This person says before you go and drive over an hour and your reason for coming was to tour the cave, you should make sure that your child isn't under 3 if you plan to go in the cave. So I guess children under 3 cannot go in. They have a rule about kids going in the cave, and the house that they have here, I mean, I don't know, they have the original house, or they have a picture of it, but the house that's there, yeah, that's not the house. It's definitely not the house, the Bell house. I wonder what happened to that house. Let me see if I can find that out real quick.
While you're looking for that, I had found an interesting little tidbit. Since you said kids under 3 are not allowed in the cave, which means I won't be visiting for quite some time. But no, apparently there's a legend associated with the cave that attributes the witch to rescuing a child who became stuck inside the cave. So that she can't be all bad if she's saving little kids.
That's one way to look at it.
Obviously not related to the Bell family. But
yes.
Yeah.
Well, it says that the Bell family, the home, that it is long gone. And by the early 1800s, it was a fairly large farmstead. After the family died and the land changed hands, the house eventually deteriorated and was torn down. Today, nothing remains of the Bell homestead itself. What visitors go to see now is the Bell Witch Cave, a natural limestone cave on the Bell property. That cave wasn't mentioned in earlier versions of the story, but over time it became attached to the legend, and now the main tourist site linked to the Bell Witch. Okay, if that's really the case, I don't think I want to go. It's, looking at the pictures, it literally just looks like a lot of the hillsides and things like that I see all the time here in Tennessee. Those like limestone things. We have a lot of quarries here. There's a lot of like gravel places and stuff. You can drive down the 64 going to Waynesboro, and you'll see them like everywhere. So if it's basically just that, I mean, I can see that here. I did
read they have a pretty cool like month-long Halloween thing though. Apparently it's a big deal, and they sort of have a whole month-long thing that includes hay rides and stuff on weekends in October. I was like, I'm down for that. I could do that.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that, where like one of my dreams is to have enough money to like open up a pumpkin patch during fall.
That'd be amazing.
Now that I have my store here, there's about, I think it's 9 acres that are directly in front of me that I'm gonna try to buy and try to make it into like a pumpkin patch with like hay rides and all of that stuff.
Love it.
Call it the Halloween podcast Pumpkin Patch, and then have listeners come out and hang out there and do all of this stuff. But that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of effort. And right now I have neither of all of those.
My husband's from County Donegal in Ireland, and we lived there on his family farm for the first 5 years after we got married. And I just could not let go of the whole pumpkin patch thing. It's a very American thing, but I just couldn't let go of it. So for pretty much 4 of the 5 years we were there, we manufactured a pumpkin patch because it's just way too wet and way too cold there most of the year. Donegal is like the Seattle of Ireland.
Wow.
So pumpkins were just never going to grow unless you had a greenhouse. So I would basically figure out how many kids were in the local area that wanted to attend, and we would buy in pumpkins from other parts of Ireland and sort of set them out. Like, have you ever been to a pumpkin patch where all the pumpkins are pre-cut and you just kind of go in and pick which one you want?
Yeah.
We did that kind of a style, and we decorated it all spooky and had big Halloween events for them through our sheepdog demonstration business and stuff. So
nice.
That was fun. But yeah, pumpkin patches are something deeply embedded in my psyche.
Yeah. My pumpkin patch, I'd rather order the pumpkins than to try to grow them, because that's just more time, effort. You got to have somebody there all the time with the equipment to get the bugs and the weeds and all of that stuff. So I'd much rather do a huge building, maybe get vendors to come and, hang out in there, sell like stuff that you normally see at pumpkin patches, like, popcorn, things like that.
Cider, all that good stuff.
Yeah. But that's the dream. Maybe one day if I end up hitting millions of subscribers with the Halloween podcast and the revenue starts flying in, that's the first thing I'm going to do.
Hear that, people? You're building the pumpkin patch. Remember that.
Yes. All right. So Bell Witch, I think we have 2 more points here. Do historians really think that the Bell Witch was real? Do you think the Bell Witch was real?
No. So basically, from a historical perspective, my degree, both undergraduate and graduate, is history. And no, historians definitely do not think the Bell Witch was a real phenomenon, or a real paranormal phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like all witchcraft trials, hauntings, things like that, you're always looking for what could be the trigger point, right? So the main theories around it are that it was tied to disputes between the family and their local community, disputes within the family, or to something like mental illness. Most scholars sort of look at it as a myth or a legend that was created for specific purposes. So you do see cases throughout the world, but definitely more than one within America, of something called poltergeist faking syndrome, where basically somebody within the home orchestrates the disturbances to gain attention, or to change the course of their daily lives, or as an outlet. There is a hoax theory whereby Betsy Bell and Richard Powell, who she eventually married, he was her school teacher to start with, but was her husband later on. Their historians sort of suggest that they orchestrated the whole thing because she didn't really want to marry her first fiance, who is Joshua Gardner. And that was a relationship that both families were very into, but we don't know that necessarily she was. So there's a theory that perhaps she faked the hauntings with the help of her school teacher, and the ghost repeatedly voiced his opposition to her engagement to Joshua Gardner, and she allegedly broke it off in the end for his safety. But then, her engagement ended, John Bell died, and then she turned around and married Richard Powell. So was that the whole point of the exercise, to kind of get rid of the first fiance and possibly eliminate the family patriarch, who might not have been pleased with the second matches, as pleased as he was with the first? And then in terms of the whole Kate Batts thing, she couldn't have been. People at the time, and a lot of the writings you hear about it, talk about it as being a spirit or a ghost. But she outlived John Bell by quite a bit. As you said, there was no historical record of her ever having had any kind of a disagreement with him. She was pretty much in good standing, as far as we can tell, within the community throughout her life. Right. So she wouldn't be your typical witch scapegoat. There are no records of anyone else believing that she was a witch or anything like that during her lifetime. Her brother-in-law, though, Benjamin Batts, he charged John Bell with usury, which is basically charging excessive interest as part of a transaction whereby John Bell purchased a slave girl off of Benjamin Batts, and he had paid him the agreed upon price, which I think was $100. But then Benjamin Batts took a little bit of time to hand over the slave girl, and once he finally had the slave girl and the bill of sale in his possession, John Bell, Benjamin Batts came back to him and said, well, I sold her to you for too little. I should have the right to take her back and resell her for what she's actually worth. She's worth more than $100. And John Bell said, well, that's fine, but now you have to buy her back off me, and I'm going to charge you $150. And in the end, I think Benjamin Batts gave him 120, and John Bell was like, that's fine, I'll take 120, and he handed the slave girl and the bill of sale back over to Benjamin Batts. Well, Benjamin was not happy about this. So first he went to their local church, the Red River Baptist Church, and complained, made a complaint of usury, saying that the extra $50 that he had charged him and the 20 that he eventually gave him amounted to unfair interest. The church dismissed it to start with, but Benjamin Batts was so fired up about it that he actually took him to a court of law, who found John Bell guilty. And the church then re-examined the case and summarily excommunicated John Bell from the Red River Baptist Church. And despite numerous petitions on his behalf to try and gain re-entry, they never did grant it, and he died in December of the same year that he made his last petition to try and gain re-entry. So there were definitely not all was well in the valley. There were neighbors he didn't get along with. There were business deals that did go wrong, but none of them are directly related to poor Kate Batts. We historians generally don't give much credence to it, but it's still fun to think about.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Yeah, but why do you think that people still talk about the Bell Witch today? Like, there's just some strange fascination with this story, and it seems like it just doesn't go away, even though there really isn't much to stand on. I mean, there's really nothing.
Yeah, well, I suppose for my thoughts, I guess, are the reason people really, really attach themselves to this particular story. It's not that far in the past. There are still descendants of these people alive today. There are actual names and historical events that have been tied to it of known individuals. And like I said before, for me, the big thing that sticks out is someone died. Like, allegedly, the Bell Witch was the cause of John Bell's death. And that's pretty terrifying. We talked about people going in and getting scratches and things like that. But allegedly, the Bell Witch killed someone, so that's pretty out there. And I think all of those reasons, the plausibility of it being tied to real people who you can actually look up in the historical record, of it being tied to a real place. I also do think, so I did my undergraduate degree at Salem State College in Salem, Massachusetts. And similarly, I also think there's probably an element of commercialism attached to it. There's probably an element of, this makes money for a local area. Let's hype it up. Let's make sure it doesn't go off people's radar. Yeah. Which is, understandable. Fear, that's what the business that you're in. But it doesn't necessarily lend itself to making the story more believable, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the story itself, it's more than just your average haunting. This thing wasn't just noises. It wasn't just a voice. This thing had personality. It had intelligence. It even had a moral code sometimes. It really just depends on who you ask. But that kind of story,
kids, right?
Yeah, it taps into deeper fears and the unseen having powers basically over us. And over the years, this story has been retold in plays, books, documentaries, films, and like we mentioned, ghost tours. there's definite money in attraction like this, and this legend also gives Tennessee a kind of like a cultural identity, and the cave itself is anchored to the real place, like the actual real area where it took place. That cave is there, and even if historians doubt the details, the fact that we're still discussing this more than 200 years later and we're talking about it here on the dark record, it really just means that it's not your average ghost story. Because honestly, there's hundreds and probably thousands and thousands of ghost stories out there, but the Bell Witch is the one that got picked for the dark record, and it's a part of American history now. Like that's
Oh, for
that's
sure.
what it all boils down to.
Like whether or not the original event took place, it has become a part of the fabric of American folklore,
Mhm.
and has inspired sort of real events from the publishing of the book and everything
Yeah.
else that came after it. And even like history, of course, is the study of the historical record, right? So it's not archaeology per se, although sometimes you do draw on archaeological studies. It's the study of written history. So
Right.
just because something wasn't written down doesn't necessarily make it impossible. So, for example, there is a legend attached to the Bell Witch that Andrew Jackson may have encountered her,
Yeah.
and it's not in any way historically verifiable. So technically, it is just a myth. There's no historical record of this. There's no record of him being in the area. As far as we know, in the area during this particular incident. But it likely arose due to his many connections with the area. So
Yeah.
John Bell Jr. and his brothers fought under General Andrew Jackson at the Battle of New Orleans. And
Mhm.
deeds show that Jackson actually owned land in multiple places in Robertson County. So the same place where Adams, Tennessee is located.
Yeah.
So he did have a knowledge of the area. He owned land in the area. He definitely passed through the area. And he even had, I mean, I don't know that a general necessarily remembered every single one of the people who fought underneath him at
Right.
every single one of the battles, but there
That's
was a
just too many.
vague family connection.
Yeah.
So is it possible? I suppose. Is it probable? I don't know. But so this is where the crossover comes between history and myth.
Let me give you the actual, like, the encounter. The story goes that in 1819, General Andrew Jackson, he was the president. We're talking about the actual Andrew Jackson, the president. He
Man on the
visited
money.
Bell. Yes, visited the Bell farm to see the haunting for himself. As he approached, the wheels locked. On the carriage, the wheels locked, and the horses refused to move forward until a voice suddenly allowed them to pass. Jackson's men were said to have fled in terror that night. Whether this actually took place or not is very debatable because there was no official documentation for it. But the fact that the story attaches itself to such a moment in history that really gives this story more of a little bit of a credence, a little bit more of a backing to it. It's so good that they even threw in a president in there to try to make it seem better than what it really was.
The local celebrity. He was seen
Yes.
in and around the area now and then, so they inserted him into this myth.
Yes, but I mean, that portion where it says no official documentation, like there's things that happen in life that there's no documentation for. I mean,
Yeah.
right now we're actively doing a official documentation. This thing will be published. It will be out
Mhm.
there. It will, we said what we said, and it's out there. But 10 minutes, I don't know, an hour ago when we were talking to each other, that was not documented, but it happened.
Yes,
It's kind of
exactly.
like, it's kind of one of those things where just because it says there was no official documentation doesn't mean it didn't really happen, because what we talked about beforehand did happen. It's just
Mhm, mhm.
not documented. It's not going to be
Yeah,
out
and
there.
that's where you can sort of, as someone who studies history, now we're starting to, we used to just look at the dry documentation, but now we're looking at things like material history. So, for instance, totally off the wall example, and I'll keep it brief, but medieval peasants, we know very little about them as individuals in most cases.
Mhm.
But we can glean a little bit of information about what their lives might have been like based on the objects that they left behind.
Yeah.
And how common were they? What were they made from? What were they used for? Things like that. So there are ways of getting around whether or not something is officially written down or officially recorded, but it's definitely an easier process, as you say now, with video and sound recording than it
Yeah.
ever would have been in the period of the Bell Witch.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. Is there anything else that we didn't hit on? I think we hit it all.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well covered. If
That
we
is
missed
the
anything,
Bell
let
Witch.
us know.
Yeah, let us know. Send me an email, thehalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or want to suggest anything for a future show, feel free to send me an email. But if it's something for the Dark Record, I'm sorry, all 61 shows have already been set in stone. Well, I say that now, but I made a change to one of them that I don't think I told you. I don't think I told you yet,
Surprise!
Megan. So
That's okay.
when you get to that, you'll be like, wait a minute, this one wasn't here before. I'll tell you off the mic.
Excellent.
But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode on the Bell Witch. Thank you so much, Megan, for coming on the show with me.
No problem. And remember, folks, the future of the Halloween podcast Pumpkin Patch is in your hands. Please like and share.
Yes, like, share, and yeah, just listen, binge listen, I guess is what they say, to the Halloween podcast. So until tomorrow, again, I don't know what tomorrow holds. Like I said, when you do so many shows, everything just blends in on itself. So I'm sure it's going to be something good. I don't have my
Tomorrow's
list
one
yet.
is a good one. I'm excited about tomorrow's one.
Yes. So whatever it is, look out for it. All right, guys. I will see you later. Have a good night.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.